Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing The Time Warrior. And I'm going to talk about part 4 first, and then I'll cover the story as a whole. I like in part 4 how right at the beginning it's Sarah that rescues the doctor, right when Lynx is hitting him with that little beam in the face, and it stuns him, but not enough to kill him. And even the doctor says, but it would have if it had lasted much longer, thank you. So it's Sarah jumping on this Centaur, and I like the fact that Sarah's already jumping to save him, even though she barely knows him, and is just beginning to believe she can trust him. They don't have that, legendary rapport built yet that they will later. And I like the fact that she not only saves him once in the story, but twice. Because there's another scene, which if I had to pick one thing in this story that's a little naffed, it's the scene when they're trying to use the doctor for target practice, when Irongrad is trying to get his men to practice with the guns, and they're all shooting at the doctor, and he's just dodging the bullets. And don't get me wrong, it's not the easiest thing in the world to hit a moving target. But when you have that many of them lined up, firing in that much succession, it feels almost cartoonish that they don't manage to hit him at all. Because they don't look like they're not that far away from him. At some point, he's just kind of hiding behind the thing. It gets a little silly. It would be alright if it went on for just a few seconds. But it goes on for a minute where they keep missing. I mean, even Irongrad mentions in there, you might be better off if you stand still the way they aim. Which is funny, but it comes off as very slapstick and farcical in a story that's better than that. And then, of course, when Sarah saves him, she swings the chandelier over to him, and he just grabs it and slowly swings and kicks him and gets away. And then conveniently he can bar the door because they're foolish enough to let themselves all be trapped in a door that can be barred. Seems very contrived and a bit silly. That's the one thing about the story as a whole that just kind of makes me go. Other than that, it's good. I like in episode 4 the doctor getting everybody home. I like that it does a good job. Again, I've really been impressed by Lynx in this. The Centauran in this story is done so much better than in the modern series. I like that there's no comedy to it. He's not treated as a joke in any way. He is a serious threat. He's a dangerous person. It shows just how dangerous one Centauran is, much less a whole army of them. I like the fact that when the Third Doctor goes into hand-to-hand combat with the Centauran, with Lynx, the Third Doctor loses. And that's saying something. Keep in mind, Third Doctor is Action Doctor. If there's any doctor that should be able to fight someone physically one-on-one and win, it's the Third Doctor. He's the fighting doctor, the James Bond doctor. And he holds his own for a little bit, but ultimately Lynx wins and basically knocks him out. That's very telling. It shows just how strong a Centauran soldier is, how much more powerful they are. That they're built, for physical combat like that. I enjoy that. I like that he ultimately gets stopped by the Archer. I love it's the Archer. I've mentioned before in another review, I think, that I like the Archer in the story. The guy playing the Archer, which I learned when I was watching behind the scenes is also like Boba Fett. I think the original physical actor for Boba Fett. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. But I enjoyed that it was him at the end who saves the day right while Lynx is in his ship getting ready to power it up. He just pops that arrow into his little vent in the back, and you see him hit the button that causes the ship to take off before it's ready. Now, it's also a little contrived that Lynx wouldn't close the door quicker. I mean, why would he, knowing there's enemies behind him, sit down and expose his back with his ship? You figured he'd have closed the door sooner. And he is slowly closing the door. They have a really slow door. And that the Archer just... I love that. I like the fact it's the Archer that takes out the Centauran. I don't know why. But I just love it's this little guest character that I've enjoyed the whole story that takes him out. I love that. I do. I was right about Irongrad being killed by Lynx. I like that. I knew they would come to blows eventually. Although I like the fact that they only came to blows over a misunderstanding. Irongrad thought Lynx had betrayed him when it wasn't Lynx. And of course he was kind of drunk at the time too. I like how he just walks in and Lynx doesn't even hesitate. He's like, blah. Heck, Lynx even tried to give him a chance to escape when he warned him about, before he was taking off in his ship, he told him, I'm leaving. You need to leave this castle and find another one. I'm surprised Lynx cared enough to even give him warning. That's a bit surprising. But I respect it. It's almost like Lynx, there's a slightest bit of respect for Iron Grad right there from Lynx. Just enough. Maybe warrior to warrior, give him a, you need to get out of here. I don't want to get out of here. I've told you to get out of here. That's all I can do. I'm leaving. I like that. I don't know why, but I like that. I like the makeup on Lynx too a lot here. I think this could be the best of Sontaran looks in Classic Who. To me, I actually like that makeup. A lot better than the Sontaran Experiment makeup, for example, which is still decent. I think it's the same actor playing the Sontaran in this one and Sontaran Experiment, I think. But I enjoyed it. I like the conversation at the end was like, you're a magician. I'm not a magician, not at all. And there's something Sarah says, too, under her breath. She's something like, are you sure? I forget what it was, but I really liked it. You can already see the kind of camaraderie between the Doctor and Sarah forming by the end of this story, the little bit of rapport and the chemistry between them, and I really like that. The story as a whole, I really liked. I like that we did have a little bit of the Brigadier at the beginning, keeping in mind, this is still the Unit era. I like that he was there at the beginning. I love that we got a historical with John. I love that because we don't really get a lot of historicals with John because he was stranded on Earth, unable to travel for most of his run. So to get a historical with him, I like historicals. Some more than others, but I'm fascinated by history. So I enjoy that, especially medieval times. I love medieval stuff. The 1981 Excalibur movie I absolutely adore. And yes, I know the guy who played in King Arthur was in The Doctor's Daughter. I love that. Matter of fact, the 81 Excalibur is still my favorite version of Merlin. So I like medieval stuff like that. I enjoyed that a lot. It's probably one of the reasons I like Battlefield as much as I do. So I enjoy that aspect of it. I enjoy the location work. Watching behind the scenes, I did see they actually filmed at a castle, and I think that really helps the production. I love all of the location work they did on it. The set design is really good, too. I enjoyed the castle sets. Some of them are quite big, quite expansive. They did a really good job on that. I like the studio set design. Looks really good. Sarah, this is... man, I think this is Sarah just possibly at her best, especially in Classic Who. She's so independent and fierce and strong-willed here. I wish... And Sarah's always a good character. Sarah's my favorite companion. She's always a good character. But I wish she had been this independent and strong-willed with no self-doubt in this story over her whole run. I wish she was like that in her whole run. She does have some stories where I feel like she does get that kind of damsel in distress, two-dimensional cardboard cutout thing going on sometimes. But she is just so good in this. She's written so well. She's acted so well. John is great. John is always great. The guy playing Iron Grad I like. As they mentioned in Behind the Scenes, and I said this I think in one of my other reviews, he's a little over the top, but in a good way. He's exaggerating it just a little, but it never gets into pantomime or caricature or it's not taking the role seriously. It's just that right balance that I adore. And the guy playing Blood Axe plays off that well. I like the guy playing Blood Axe. They really are kind of a yin and yang that's somehow working together. I really like how him and Iron Grad get on. It's just a really good story. And I should have known that I was going to love this story, and I do. I should have known because something had slipped my mind until I was watching the opening credits. And when I was watching the opening credits, I saw 3 of the greatest words that ever takes to let me know I'm probably going to like a story. By Robert Holmes. As long as there's no giant squids involved, I know I am okay. I had smooth forgot this was a Robert Holmes story until I was watching it, but as soon as I saw that, I'm going to be good. I'm probably going to like this. Most of you who watch my channel regularly, you know I love me some Bob Holmes. He is my favorite Doctor Who writer. He writes Sarah Jane. I'm beginning to think better than anyone. And I'm glad he got a historical, even though I know he didn't want it. I absolutely love that he came up with the Sontarans, because I think they're a great villain, especially by Classic Who standards. Knowing that Bob Holmes came up with them makes me even madder that they've become kind of a joke in the modern series. That nobody mocks Bob Holmes to me. Nobody, to paraphrase the 12th Doctor. So I enjoyed that very much. I also really enjoyed the making of, the behind the scenes that was filmed in 2007. And the great thing about some of these older behind the scenes is that if they did a behind the scenes making of now, it wouldn't be as good as that one. Because I remember right when the making of first starts, one of the first things I see is they're at the castle where they filmed the story, and walking up to the castle side by side is Barry Letts and Terrence Dicks. And that put a smile on my face and had me so excited. Because, they're both gone now, sadly. And it makes my day that I'm getting to watch this making of for the first time. And I absolutely adore anytime there are interviews with Barry and Terrence. I love the fact that they spent so much time in the mid to late 2000s doing these interviews. I'm sure they know the fans appreciate it. I hope that they knew how much the fans really appreciated them doing that. But hearing their thoughts behind it and what went into making it and all of that is just gold, and we can't have that now. And of course there was interviews with Elizabeth in there, and Liz is gone now. Of course the guy playing the archer, Jeremy, is that it? He's passed away now. So being able to see all of these different interviews with people that we wouldn't get now if they did the making of now really made it special, and learning all the behind the scenes stuff. I very much enjoyed that, and I loved when Terrence was talking about Robert Holmes writing the script, and he mentions, and he didn't want to do a historical, but I had him doing a historical, and basically I drug him into the Middle Ages, and then of course he drug me onto a lighthouse, and neither one of us wanted to go. Of course, referencing the horror thing, so it's almost like Robert was getting him back for doing Time War. I don't know why, but I love that. I absolutely love that. It's a great story. I really enjoyed The Time Warrior. I think it's probably the Sontarans' best outing, and a perfect example of why sometimes these villains in Doctor Who, they work better when there's just one of them, or maybe only two of them, but especially when there's one of them. And it's like that with a lot of things. The Cybermen, the Daleks, the Sontarans. Because when you have a whole army of them, you have to have a way to stop them, and it's usually this Deus Machina quick weapon, like in the Sontaran Stratagem and the Poison Sky, or something like that. We see that with the Daleks. We see that with the Cybermen in the Timeless Children. We see that with the Sontarans and other stuff. Anytime there's a bunch of them, you have to come up with some Deus Machina way to kill them all. But when it's one of them, it seems even more dangerous because you have to work harder to stop them. And I love the fact it was just the Archer that stopped Lynx in this, and it's just one of them. Or how the Tom Baker had to figure out how, with Harry's help, had to stop the only one in Sontaran Experiment. One of the reasons why Dalek is my favorite Dalek story. My favorite Dalek story is a modern series Dalek story, because everything has to go into stopping that one Dalek, and you see just how deadly one Dalek can be. No other Doctor Who story shows just how dangerous one Dalek can be, and why an army of them should truly be feared when just one can do that much damage. I love when the Ninth Doctor's doing that talk. How many people over on the Western Coast, such and such admitted, all dead. Why would they do that? Because it honestly believes they should die. And just the way he says that, all dead. I love that. That shows, one of the reasons I like the lone Cyberman, Ashnod or whatever his name is he seems so much more dangerous just by himself. It's one of the things I like about the haunting of Villa Diodoti or whatever, is how dangerous he is, how different from a normal Cyberman he is. And he feels lethal by himself. You don't need an army of Cybermen. He's dangerous on his own. And it gives it a chance to be more personal. Dalek is very personal with the Doctor. I don't think there's a Dalek story in Doctor Who where it feels quite so personal for the Doctor. And the same thing with the Cybermen, especially with everything that happened with Bill in Capaldi's final arc there. It's way more personal between her and the lone Cyberman. It feels a little more personal here between the Third Doctor and Lynx. Not that level of personal, but still more personal than when it's a whole army of them. And I really like that. I like when these well-known Doctor Who villains have to face the Doctor one-on-one instead of in armies. It's just a better story usually. So that's my thoughts on the Time Warrior. I loved it. I think it's phenomenal. It's Robert Holmes being Robert Holmes, and he is absolutely amazing. I would like to know what you think of the Time Warrior, so comment down below and let me know your thoughts. Other things to do while I have you here. Go ahead and click that like button, click that subscribe button, and the bell for notifications. That helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, and also I am trying to grow the channel. There's a lot of things I want to do with the channel, but some things I can't do until I hit 1,000 subscribers. I'd really love to be doing like live streams and stuff like that at some point. I think that would be a lot of fun, being able to interact with you guys. So that would help me out. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me that way. My patrons, I try to do an exclusive video every week, which I need to record one for this week. So check that out if you're interested. There's a link to that in the description below. I think the exclusive videos are at the $10 tier and up. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you would like to send me. That's down there as well, as is a link to my Amazon wish list and my Amazon UK wish list. Or not. Most importantly, I appreciate you watching, but I also want to say just how much I really appreciate you watching, and that came out really weird. It's been that kind of day. I am grateful for everyone who watches, whether they're viewers, subscribers, patrons, people who send things. I appreciate every single one of you. It makes doing this channel so much fun. Most importantly, I think this time, thank you for watching.